Tim's kinda dumb, let's help him get smart. It's time to teach Tim stuff. Hey, welcome to Time to Teach Tim. We got Andrew Rich in the house. He's going to be teaching us about poker, gambling, and all that good stuff.
Something I know way too much about, unfortunately.
Yeah. Now, where did you start out, like, playing as a kid, like with family and stuff like that?
So that's a good question. My earliest memory, we went on like a trip down to Atlantic City as a family, like when I was 8 or 9, and I vividly remember that you couldn't go into the casino, but I directed my mom to like a slot machine, and she won. You know, she won like $15, and then that happened like 2 more times. And then, like, for the next year on the phone, she's like, oh, and Andrew picked this slot machine and it won, and Andrew picked that slot machine and it won. And I was hooked, you know? That was it. That was it.
So it's kind of like, oh, I've got a natural ability for this.
Yeah. That since has cost me like $250,000, you know?
Well, that's not bad with natural ability. That's actually a pretty considering. I would vacation in Brigantine, which is like right there. And we would go to Atlantic City and do like the boardwalk stuff, like Ripley's and everything. But I remember wanting to go into the casino so bad. They just looked so cool. It was like, oh.
Yeah, they're fun. I mean, that's what they do. You know? That's like, you know, when you look at like a Dave and Buster's now, it's like basically a casino for kids. You know, it's like the same type of environment they're trying to create there.
Yeah, and it's fun. And so like going as an adult, like I've been to like parks pretty much, and there's another like standalone casino somewhere near here.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's the Sands, which is over in near Ben Salem. I always get Ben Salem is Parks, and then Bethlehem is the Sands.
Yeah, so we would do that, but we always do the video blackjack because it's hard to like at like a blackjack table. I feel like if you hit on something you're not supposed to, the whole table's mad at you and they'll chase you out.
That could be the case. Yeah, I mean, most of the time they'll try and help you. The dealer will try and help you and stuff. But yeah, I mean, if it's really definitive, like if the dealer has a 6 and you know you have a 4 and you hit, yeah, they could get pretty pissed, especially if it doesn't work out.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't have much experience with gambling. Like I don't even buy scratch offs. I don't know why. I just don't think I'm very lucky. I like to conserve my luck, I guess. But poker's different. Poker's not really luck as much as it is skill and understanding.
So the thing about poker is that, in theory, the skill will always outweigh the luck. On any given hand, there's a tremendous amount of luck. In any given session, there's a tremendous amount of luck, and you can even take it to the point of like over years, like there might be luck versus skill, but the theory is that over time, over a 10-year, 20-year, whatever, that the skill will definitely outweigh the luck, and that's why people could be profitable at poker.
All right,
that's the dream they sell you on.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily believe it, but that's what they're telling you.
Yeah. So like, do you play specifically Texas Hold'em pretty much?
That's the primary game, but I've played other, you know, there's Omaha, there's stud games, but Hold'em is the primary game that I would play, yes.
Yeah. And so do you do any like underground or is it usually like casino?
I've done everything, anything and everything. So, you know, near me where I live, there are underground games where, you know, people are running it out of their house. They have a professional dealer. They have, you know, you have to tip. They take a rake. It's not like just playing with your friends. Yeah. You know, some of those games tend to play pretty big at times. Like it's not uncommon where if I come with, you know, $800, I'm definitely the short man at the game. People come with 2,000, 3,000, things like that. Yeah, it's harder to control the amount that you come with.
Yeah.
When you go to a casino, you have a lot more control because there's different games. There's, you know, 1, 2, no limit where you can have like $300 on the table and be fine. Yeah. But yes, to answer your question, there are underground games everywhere. I haven't really been doing that since the pandemic started. Yeah. You know, my main thing now is that I play online poker, and it's not that often, but you know, it's not legal where I live, so I have to drive to New Jersey and sit in my car and play, and that's my big activity currently.
Yeah, that's what did online kind of like change the game for you? Like, do you feel like like now that you're able to get more hands without going to like a casino, do you think that helped to improve your skill at all?
Well, online used to be really big. I don't know the amount of, how long ago it was, but I would say 15 years ago or so, online poker was a really big thing. It was legal everywhere, or at least you could play it anywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, again, I don't remember the year, but you just logged into your system one day and it just all of a sudden wasn't available and it was gone for that many years. So I used to play online poker all the time. And then it just went away for a while, and now I just started playing maybe 6, 7 months ago again,
Yeah.
but not in the same way that I was playing.
Yeah, yeah. It's I know people who have been playing online since like it first came out, and it's so dangerous because
It's always there.
yeah, yeah. Like we would just be like hanging out on a normal Friday watching a movie,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden, fuck.
Right.
What? I just lost $300. Like what?
Yeah, and that is the nice thing to some extent about the fact that it's not legal where I am, that I do have to go out and play.
Yeah.
It's not just like I'm going to the bathroom, all right, let me get in a few hands of poker. I can't do that, which is
Yeah.
I think is a benefit.
Yeah, yeah,
Cuz I would always be thinking about it. Like, all right, when can I do this? When can I do that?
yeah, yeah. So playing poker, do you have any like strategies you like to go with? Like I obviously 2-7 is the worst hand ever. Don't ever play 2-7.
Right.
Some people like to play 2-7, which blows my mind. But so like when you sit down at a table, you're looking long term, right?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I think my approach is don't lose all your freaking money. And that's really not the way you're supposed to play, because ultimately you will lose your money, which most of the time I do. My big thing is always that I will win, I'll win again, I'll win again, and then I will lose it all and then some. Like that's that's my basic poker plan. That's how it's always worked out for me. And the main reason there is because for me, I like to play more than I like the money, So
Yeah.
if I can afford to
Yeah.
play, I'm going to play, and until I'm satisfied with the amount of money that I've lost, or I'm like, all right, you know what, I gotta take a break here
Yeah.
for a little
Yeah.
bit.
Was there like a big win that like hooked you? You said like when you were a kid picking that machine. Do you have like a specific poker win you can look back and be like, oh, I remember this. This was perfect.
No, I can't say that I have. I mean, I've had some wins along the way, but I would say, first of all, gambling does kind of run in my family to some extent. It was always there. We talked about the Atlantic City trip, but I had a friend growing up whose dad was a big gambler, and this kid knew how to shoot craps at the age of 4. Like he could teach me how to play craps. So gambling was always there. In terms of poker, that really became big. I think I always forget the year. Maybe 2002, 2003, for a few reasons. Rounders had come out, a few years earlier, which was a big movie. They had Chris Moneymaker won the World Series of Poker, which was a really big thing, and it kind of sold the people on the fact that the common everyday man could do this. And then the other thing was that when you were watching TV, you could see the cards. That was a big thing that made it very exciting. And then the last thing was like the fact that it was available online. So all of these things kind of came together. It was like a perfect storm that just got me hooked. And to some extent, it was really great because I always was a casino person. Like I would go play blackjack, I'd do whatever, and you're just giving your money away in that case. When poker came out and poker became popular, it really did help me, because now I don't even care. I don't care about sports betting. I don't care about blackjack. I don't care about any of those things. I just like to play poker, and it was kind of all those things that came together that brought me to it.
Yeah, I remember that. It was a weird time. It was like right around there, 2002, 2003. Like all of a sudden, my friends are talking about poker, and like specifically Texas Hold'em, and like the World Series of Poker being on TV. I feel like I knew Go Fish as a card game until I was like 16, and then I knew Texas Hold'em. And it was just a weird transition. And like all of a sudden, people were talking about number charts, and like I remember reading an article in high school about, because it was statistics, and there was a game that all like New York stockbrokers would play, and they came up with the Texas Hold'em number chart of like how much to bet on what hand,
Right.
and it was like also I think what also helped poker blow up like that. It was a combination of kind of nerd culture exploding also,
Mm-hmm.
because it's very numbers like so like your possibility of winning then depends will tell you how much you should bet.
Right. So
And
yeah, so like part of that is like you could be in a situation where you know you're behind in a hand.
yeah,
Okay? Like let's say there's there's a about the flop, like
yeah,
so there's common cards and you're holding a pair of pocket queen. You're holding a pair of queens and there's a king on the flop. And the guy's betting and you really know that the guy has a king. But depending on how much he bet versus how much you stand to win, if you call compared to the odds that you have of winning that hand, if the amount of money exceeds the percentage chance, then even though you know you're behind, in the long run, that's considered a good call because it's a
yeah,
profitable call. And that's where people start thinking about this whole thing on another level that,
yeah,
it kind of takes all the fun and, out of the game.
yeah,
If you think back to like, movies or when people talk about tells, you're looking at the guy and you're staring him down and like, oh, does this guy have a better hand? And all of that's kind of now out the window because now you're putting out a tell to screw with the guy, to think you have the bad tell. I mean, it's all about the percentages now, and they've basically taken all the fun out of it.
I love watching it on TV just to see the interactions, like, and like it's the same thing as if you're playing a card game with your buddy. Like the funnest part isn't to me at least, all right, well, Jack 10 offsuit, let's
Mhm.
see what the flop is. The fun part is, oh, you're all in. Like I'm gonna destroy you, you son of a gun.
Right,
Like,
hearing the banter between the people.
yeah,
Yeah, and that is a thing that on some of these shows, these broadcasts, they focus more on like the conversations
yeah,
as opposed to like sometimes they have an announcer and you can't really hear the conversations as much. But yeah, that's definitely a big thing that they want you to learn the players and learn who these profitable people are, and
yeah.
almost like sports stars. It's the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's so funny because there's always the one guy, super extremely talented, will not say a word.
Right.
He's almost like kind of like I can't believe this is so popular now. I have to be on camera.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's plenty of people. There's, as with anything, there's all sorts of people. There's people with big personalities that are loud and verbose and do all these things. And then there's people that, they look like they're a serial killer just sitting there and they don't make a sound the whole time, but they're in their head. They are calculating every single thing that's going on
Yeah.
and always making the precise move. And,
Yeah.
and then there's people that could do both. There's people that have really big personalities, like, Daniel Negreanu might be a name,
Yeah.
he's really very talkative and personable, but he knows the game as well. And that's,
Yeah.
it's amazing. I think he's worth like, 50, $60 million. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's when poker blew up, I remember hearing those jackpots and be like, Jesus, like, and to me though, I didn't see all the work that went in behind that. Like Daniel Negreanu is playing 6 different online games at the same time while he's sitting at a table, like,
Right.
because it's the 10,000 hours. Like it's I need to see every possible hand.
Mm-hmm.
I need to also see people to see how they think, how they're to see the variability of how they will think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then besides when they're playing, they're also reading and studying charts and doing all these things that, I mean, like, I'm not smart enough to do all that. I'm just not. Like, my brain can handle a certain amount of things. I can't process information in that way.
Yeah. The one thing that seems strange to me about poker itself, especially at casinos, the casino isn't really making money on it.
They're not, okay, so they are, essentially you're renting the table space from them. So you're not playing against the casino, but they're taking it's like they're being a bookie. Like, if you're a bookie, your goal is to have money on equal sides of the equation so that you're just collecting the vig, the 5%.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who wins, it doesn't matter who loses, you're just constantly getting that action. Poker is the same way. Whereas if you play blackjack or you play craps, you are playing against the house,
Yeah.
and they might, that you might win big, lose big, or so on. When I'm playing poker, I'm playing against you,
Yeah.
the guy next to me. And then they're just getting a percentage. So from the casino standpoint, they don't have any risk,
Yeah.
but also the reward's not as high. They know how much money exactly they're getting per hour for the game, and that's what they get. Whereas, if you play blackjack, they want to get that big whale in the casino because
Yeah.
he's going to lose $3 million. It's not the same thing.
So do you feel like casinos treat poker players different than they treat like blackjack players?
Oh,
then?
definitely. Yeah. The casinos, I think they almost treat it like a loss leader to some extent. Like, you get the people in the casino. For example, Parks had they had the poker room off in a different area, right? Completely.
Yeah.
And it was great. I loved that room. And then, like, I go there and they moved it. They moved it to the back of the casino, so you had to walk through the casino to get to the poker room and then walk out the same way, because they want you, why are we bringing these people here if they're not going to walk through the casino? But yeah, you don't get like the types of comps that you would get. Like, you're not playing poker for 10 hours and then getting free dinner. You might get $10 credited to you or something. You get free dinner at the food court downstairs, which to me, that's great. I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'm low maintenance.
So when you sit at a table sometimes with people a couple hours, do you ever like build friendships? Is there like a little community or?
Well, when you're talking about the local underground games, those people. I mean, you see, it's like going to an open mic. Like, you see the same people over and over and over again. When you go to a casino to play, it's obviously a much larger pool of people.
Yeah.
But you can certainly strike up a conversation or a friendship, and then recognize that guy the next time. Oh yeah, we played last time. I remember you. But yeah, that's pretty common because you are sitting pretty close together, and you're sitting close together for long hours. Long hours at a time.
Yeah. What's the longest you've ever been at a table if you're?
24 hours, maybe even more. I've done that, and I could do it longer too. Like, I could sit there for a very long time. When I'm doing my car thing, sometimes, like, I could do that for 8 or 9 hours. I'm sitting in my car for 9 hours. Like, that's not healthy. I mean, there's something off about that.
Yeah, but like you were saying though, the enjoyment of the game, like it's a unique game because it's not physically exerting.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of mentally exerting, but you get breaks. Like when you fold off a hand, like then you can kind of, all right, hang out for a little bit and then collect yourself and get back into a flow.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you think about a baseball game or a football game, like the game itself is 3 hours, but the amount of action that you have is what, like 6 minutes or something.
Yeah.
So it's very similar to that. Like, when you're playing poker, the majority of time you are just sitting there not playing poker. Now, are you studying other players? Are you watching it? Are you getting really involved with some people more than others? But in terms of your actual play, you're really not playing the bulk of the time. And if you are, you're doing something wrong because you shouldn't be in that many hands.
Yeah. That's where I get in trouble because if folding is hard for me because I see.
You get bored.
I'm optimistic too. I'm like, oh, this 7 of hearts. Like, there might be another 7.
Right.
I'm pretty sure there's gonna be.
Yeah. Yeah, like Curious George. Like, am I gonna see the cards I want to see? Yeah, that's a big discipline.
Yeah.
I would say the bigger discipline though is playing an amount that's right for you. You don't want to play anything above your head. You don't want to play anything too below your head. You want to play something that's right there because this way you value the money, but you're not afraid of losing the money.
Yeah.
That if you could do that and find those games, then that's the perfect fit for you.
Yeah. I like to do $20 buy-in tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Like just 5 people. Second place gets
their money
back, and then you walk away with 80 if you win. Like
right.
To me, that's a good time because then usually we go out to a diner and winner buys and we all get our money back pretty much. But I've never been in a position where like I've always wanted to be, but where I was like I could easily lose like $400 and just go in guns a-blazing. Because I want to see just if I would be able to push people around a little bit. Because, like, we have a group of friends, 5 of them that play, and I never get to really test them kind of to see, like, what... Because if we don't care,
Right. If
our
you're just doing it
reactions
for
are
fun.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing a $20 tournament, I mean, like, you guys, that's what you do? You have, like, 5 people you play? So how long would each tournament take?
3 hours about.
Okay, so that's a really long time for that amount of money. So you guys are just doing this to be social.
Yeah.
What happens to the guy who goes out in 3 minutes or 10 minutes, or what does he do?
Usually hangs out.
Just hangs out and watches?
Well, we'll usually, like, have the TV going in the other room. So, like, you kind of bounce in and out, maybe smoke a cigarette, and just kind of float around. Like, it's definitely more the hang than the game. Sometimes we get people who are definitely there more for the game and then kind of don't invite them back.
Right.
Like, this one time, this guy kept, like, pushing the pace of the game. Like, you know, we wrap up a game. He's like, come on, deal. Like, bet. It was just so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I've been that guy. Like I've been that guy that's shown up at the the social game. I'm like, okay, guys, I'll deal. Like you guys, because some people deal and they're flipping over the cards as they're dealing and they can't do it and it's slow and they're trying and like somebody goes to the bathroom. I'm like, all right, we'll wait while he goes to the bathroom. I'm like, no, you don't wait while he. So I try and avoid those situations because it's not fun for me. Like unless I know what I'm getting into. Like if I know that, okay, I'm just going for the social experience. We're going to play. They're playing poker, but it's not really why we're there. If I know that going in, then yeah, I could do that. But if I'm going to play cards and then I see this going on, I'll get frustrated pretty quickly.
So you almost see them as like 2 different types of games then, right? Like social versus like
it's very rarely social for me. Like it's not something I'd rather do something else. Like let's go play pool. Let's go because I'm a terrible pool player. But I'll go to play pool and that'll be social activity for me. If we're playing cards, I don't it's just not enjoyable. Like
I gotcha.
It's kind of like it's part of the reason like I don't really like going to Vegas. The main reason is that you're in Vegas. You have all this stuff, all this entertainment at your disposal, but really all I want to do is play poker. So it's like I'm constantly torn. My wheels are constantly spinning like, well, should I do this? Should I do this? Well, I don't really want to do this, but I could do this anywhere. Why am I here in Vegas? So, Vegas is like really torturous for me. It's hard for me to do.
I've been to Vegas one time. I flew in. My parents picked me up in the RV, and we drove right out. And I was like, "We're in Vegas."
Right? Can we stay for a few hours?
I didn't even play a slot machine in the airport because I was like, "No, we're gonna be hitting the." Nope, not at all.
And that kind of thing, like that doesn't appeal to me. Like a slot machine in an airport, or go to play blackjack because I have a half hour to kill. Like that type of stuff doesn't appeal to me. And in fact, like I've made jokes like on social media or something where like I'm at Foxwoods on like a Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. and I walk through the slot room and just because you have to pass it and all these people are playing slots. I'm like, these people are such degenerates, but now I'm going to go play poker for 24 hours. It's different. Like I'm looking as like, okay, well, at least I have this dream or this vision that this is skill and it's not just luck, where these people, they're just giving they're giving their money away. And to me, there's a big difference there.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I 100% believe it's skill over luck because my one friend who plays a lot wins almost all the social games we play.
Right.
Like it's obvious there's a skill gap between us and him because he is talented. He will push hands that I would never be like confident in. He's able to pretty much look at the flop, the draw, and the river and know that he, even if he doesn't have the best hand, how to be confident enough to make us go, oh, well, he's definitely got the king because the king's out there, even though he's got pocket sevens.
Yep. But there also might be times where you might just call. You know, you
Yeah,
might
yeah.
call him even though he's behind, and then he's not gonna bluff most likely he's not gonna bluff thinking that automatically you're folding. He's bluffing thinking, all right, you'll probably fold, but even if you don't fold, I still have a reasonable chance of winning this
Yeah,
hand.
yeah.
Could be a flush draw, could be a straight draw, could be a combination. He could have a low pair and a gut shot straight draw. There's a lot of ways that he could look at it, but it's called like fold equity, because if you fold, well, now he's 100% winning the hand. But if you call, well, now he has a 35% chance of winning the hand. But the fact that you have a chance of folding,
Yeah.
that makes it a profitable play for him.
That see, and like again, that's knowledge that I wouldn't even think of. Like to me, poker is very win or lose. Like the percentages
Mm-hmm.
don't factor into like my. If I know I have the best hand, I will play that hand. If I'm not confident in hand, I don't play.
Which is what you should be doing, because you're only playing, an hour, you're playing a few hours a month or whatever
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
The percentage thing comes into people who are playing 6 hours, 10 hours every day. Like this is where the percentages come into play. But if you're just playing with your friends, you're not looking at, okay, well, is this a profitable call long term? Like it's not, it's silly. You're not going to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Now, like, how did you learn? Is that experience, or did you study like the charts on like profitable long term?
No, and I don't know that stuff. I mean, I know the very basics. Like
Yeah.
first, obviously, which hands beat which hands. You know about outs, and so if you have 10 outs, and an out is a card that would give you a win. So, for example, if you have 4 spades, and any spade would be considered an out.
Yeah.
So I know how many outs equals the percentage chance that you have winning the hand. But in terms of comparing that to your pot odds, and like, I'm not doing that math.
Yeah.
Maybe very loosely and probably incorrectly. But the big thing, see, my belief is that even though skill will outweigh the luck, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're still talking about a very small percentage. And the best comparison would be like, let's take a sports bettor. Okay. So if a sports bettor bets $100 on a game,
Mm-hmm.
okay, they are paying, I think it's a 5% or I forget if it's I think it's a 5% vig. So if you bet $100, it costs you $5 to bet, or maybe it's $10. I forget, whichever it is. So the top gamblers, I think all they have to do is win like 57, 58% of their games to be profitable. And if you could win 58% of your bets, like that's a professional gambler. You are doing something really successful and great.
Yeah.
Okay? But now let's take people's luck into the equation. Some people are more lucky than others, whether it's gambling or life or whatever. They are more lucky than others. And if you're just talking about that 50 to 60% that you have to be successful, well, isn't it possible that your luck is just 3% less than the other guy? And that's I really strongly believe that. Like, yes, skill outweighs the luck, but to some extent, some people are definitely luckier than others.
Yeah.
You could be lucky on the tables and then really unlucky outside. You did really well here, but then you find out you have, a foot cancer. I mean, I don't know. I'm just making something. Things like that happen all the time.
Yeah.
I've been very lucky outside of gambling, but anything relating to gambling, lucky is just not what I have.
Do you have any lucky charms, anything like that?
No, I don't like any of that stuff.
That always cracks me up to see like what like even professional gamblers bring to the table. Like part of you, like by being a professional gambler, is like saying, hey, I know it's not just luck, but I also really believe in luck.
Right. Well, so I don't have lucky charms, but I do like to make sure that I am in the right position to gamble. So, like, for example, I'm not leaving my family in the lurch somewhere, or I didn't do something, like I did everything I'm supposed to do. I used to have this thing, my wife she hated this, and if she listens, she's probably going to hate this too, but her name is Jessica. And I used to call it the Hexica. Like if she was mad, I would just automatically lose, and it would be disastrous losses that were just dramatic and could have been the end of a movie. The way, like, how did this guy lose this? And it was because of the Hexica. And she hated that more than anything in the world, the Hexica.
Well, that's a good rule to only gamble when your wife's in a good mood.
Yeah,
like,
I think that's fair. Yeah.
If you learn anything from this podcast.
I can stand by that one.
Yeah. So I've never sat down at a poker table.
Oh, you should.
Yeah?
Yeah, it'll be fun. I mean, there's different levels. It depends you want to know what you're going for. Like, how much money do you have? Would you be comfortable losing it? Not that you want to lose it, but are you comfortable losing it? How much time are you going for?
Yeah.
And that's, it's definitely something you could do. And there's also limit games. So, if you only had $100 that you wanted to play with, you can go play 2-4 a limit and be fine. That's something that you could easily do.
Now, is the limit money per hand, or is that limit on the blinds?
So when you bet, you have to bet in certain increments. So you could bet $2 or $4, pending if it's the flop, pre-flop, post-flop, things like that. But you can't be like, all right, I'm all in. Like, it doesn't work that way.
Oh, that's interesting. I never knew that. I never would have thought about that.
Yeah, and there's different limit games. So, you could play. Some people play 300, 600. Like the scene in, do you know Rounders well?
Not really, no.
Okay.
No.
So there's a scene in Rounders where Matt Damon plays against Johnny Chan, who's like was the top pro at the time. And what inspired Matt Damon to like go for it in the big scene was that he had played against Johnny Chan, but they were actually playing a limit game. They were playing like 300, 600, which, that's a very high limit game. But the majority of poker that people play, or at least that I play, and that what you see on TV, that's all no limit poker, where you could bet any amount at any time as long as you have it on the table.
So going into it, let's say I got 3 hours, $100, completely disposable. Where do you recommend that I sit down?
That would be a low stakes game. That would be like a 2-4, maybe a 3-6 limit game, which is not always easy to find. Like you can either call the casinos, or they have apps that tell you what games they have running. But parks probably wouldn't have that. Maybe they would. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
The Borgata usually have that because they have some. That's like, if you sit at a game like that, you're going to be with a lot of 70-year-olds. Like that is going to be you and a bunch of 75-year-olds.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Like playing like the I guess they call it virtual blackjack now, but like the electronic off the screen. Most of the time we play that because it's like $1 a hand.
Right.
It's something is super low. And it's just fun because we're there to waste money without ruining anyone else's time.
Well, what I'd recommend for you, I wouldn't recommend it, but if you were interested in playing, you're in New Jersey. You could play online poker. You could play 1 cent, 2 cent. You could buy in for $5 and you could play that for hours. That would be the best way for you to kind of get acclimated to it. And it's always there for you. You could play any level. It's not going to hurt you unless you let it get out of hand.
Yeah.
That's where I would start if you were interested as playing online.
Yeah. not to throw a comic under the bus, but Steve Poston, one day we're at a mic. Mm-hmm. He hands me his phone because he's about to do his set, and he was playing. I'm pretty sure he was playing Hold'em, but he's like, "Here, just play the hands while I'm gone."
Right.
Meanwhile, I've never played online before, so I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. And I just kept folding the hands because I didn't want to lose money for him. He's like, it's like a penny a hand. Like, what do I care?
Right.
I was like, oh, man, I had like ace 10 on one of them.
Yeah, it's when you're playing with somebody else's money. That's never fun.
But usually, I was like surprised. He's like, it's like a penny a hand. I was like, oh, I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. They have 1 cent, 2 cent. You could play really, really low stakes online.
Yeah.
And there'll be always somebody playing. So you can certainly find that.
Online, is there like a little chat on the side? Do you still get the banter online?
I've seen it. For some reason, the site I'm playing on, it blocks it. I don't know if it's a setting that I just haven't figured out, but like
All right.
if somebody types something in or if I type something, it just comes up as all asterisks. So I don't know
Okay.
what's going on there. But usually the banter online when it was there is all mean, negative. You know, like, how'd
Yeah.
you make that call? What are you doing? Go do something else. You know, like it's never anything good.
Yeah, yeah. And like in person, like it's so different
Sure.
to me. Like, do you find that people are more friendly?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean it's like, yeah, for sure. I mean it's when you're on social media and somebody writes like a negative, comment. You
yeah,
know, they're making a
yeah,
negative comment. They're not there, but in person, yeah, everybody's there to kind of have fun to some extent. I mean,
yeah.
there's definitely going to be some jerks, like with anything, but yeah, people for the most part, even though you're playing against them and even though you want their money. It's you're just competing like if you were playing in a softball league or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just for fun.
Yeah. So if you're there for like 24 hours, they must do they bring you food?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
do
yeah. You
they do the whole like drink service, like quote unquote?
they definitely have drinks. I mean, you obviously tipping the
Yeah,
waitresses, but
yeah.
poker is a game where you can eat at the table. I mean, that's
Yeah,
it's the
that's so
only game. It's the only
that's
game
so
you could do it.
mind-blowing to me.
You can't do it anywhere else. And I don't know. I get some people like it, some people don't like it. Some people are disgusting with it. Just
Yeah.
licking their fingers and then like it's gross. Like what are you doing? But yeah, I've certainly had my share of food at a poker table. And you can get out, like you can leave the table and they'll hold your spot for 45 minutes.
Oh, all right.
Each casino has different rules. It might depend on how crowded it is, but you can get up. I mean, if you're playing in a poker tournament, which is
Yeah,
different,
yeah.
then you'll get blinded out, but those tournaments have built-in breaks.
All right.
Um,
Yeah.
but if you're playing cash, yeah, you can go anywhere and come back for
All
sure.
right. Yeah. Do you enter tournaments at all?
I love tournaments. Tournaments to me, like if I'm going to go to a casino, I'll usually schedule that around a tournament. It's definitely not profitable. Like, you have to come in the top 10 to win
Yeah.
anything significant. But what's really nice about them is they do have a beginning and an end,
Yeah.
so it's definitive. Plus they're really fun. Like you have a certain amount of money that you bought in for. You can't lose more than that unless, they do have rebuy tournaments and they do have add-ons where
Yeah.
if you bust, you could rebuy. So you can get in trouble that way. But a tournament to me is it's really exciting. You get deep into the tournament. You're one of 15 people left when 300 people started. It's just there's
Yeah.
something there that's not there with a cash game for me. But in the long run, it's definitely a losing proposition.
Yeah. We do in hockey. We do Ironman tournaments.
Hmm.
So it's pretty much quick games, smaller bench. It's usually only 3-on-3,
Hmm.
and it's fun because we kind of all know each other now, but you get to meet people, you hang out. It's usually like early in the day. It's more of a social event.
Hmm.
Our tournaments kind of like that, where it's like some people take it more seriously,
Of
but
course.
there's like people who are like just happy to be there.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that was the big thing. Like if you watch the World Series of Poker on TV, the first days, you're going to have celebrities there, like
Yeah.
Jason Alexander and Brad Garrett from, Everybody Loves Raymond. And, you can have all these celebrities and then you can have all these older people and you can have all these people. But then by like day 5, day 6, now you're just down to the pros, the
Yeah.
people who are just there to win.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that is the nice thing about poker, like the main event. I can't play in the Major League Baseball World Series, but I can play against Phil Ivey in the World Series of
Yeah.
Poker. All it is $10,000. If I want to put up $10,000, I can compete in the biggest event there
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And that's what people kind of like about it.
Mm.
The other thing though is that it looks so easy. Like when you're
Yeah.
watching on TV, anybody, oh, I could do this. And then like you think about, a comedian, like think about what we have to do as comedians. Like you're watching, they're like, oh, that's really easy.
Yeah.
And then you get up there like, oh, okay, I haven't gotten a
Yeah.
laugh in a month here. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's as with anything.
Yeah. What's your favorite part about playing poker, would you say?
Um, for me, it's always like, I feel like there has to be the potential to win something of significance. Like I really like, even when I go on a tournament online, like I look at that first prize and I bought him for $50 and the first prize is 4,500. Like that's a significant. Am I going to win the 4,500? I'm not. But just the excitement of that being there, I like that. And then the other part of just kind of, I'm just chilling at a table, I'm isolated. This is what I'm doing for the next few hours and so on. Actually, there was one time that I was driving to the sand. It's not called the Sands. It's called like Wind Creek or something.
Oh yeah.
And it took me forever to get, like, I got into there was traffic. It took me like twice as long, if not more, to get there. And on my way, I was preparing this joke for the table that I got there. That I was like, I get to the table and I'm like, oh man, I could not sit down in that car for another second. And then I plopped down on the poker chair. I'm like, now I'm going to sit here for the next 36 hours.
Yeah.
It got a little chuckle.
Sometimes that's all you need is just a chuckle.
Yeah, I was happy with it. The dealer liked it. That was all that mattered.
Well, it's something nice too about like committing time to an activity.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's something very comforting in knowing what you're doing for the next however many hours.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, with me specifically, like here's my two main. I have three activities outside of work and family and all that stuff. I have poker, I have comedy, obviously, and I have like baseball and softball. Okay, so let's take baseball and softball out of the equation. It's seasonal. With stand up, like for the most part, like you have to prepare, it's work. Like you never essentially look forward to doing it. You do, but you don't. But then once you do it and you're there, you feel great about yourself, right? Yeah. You had a good set. Okay, this is great. I feel good. Like I'm gonna do something. Then the next morning you're like, oh, I gotta go out again tonight. It's like, oh my God. With poker, it's the exact opposite. Like I look forward to it. I look forward to it all the time. Oh yes, I'm gonna play poker and it's gonna be awesome. And then once you get there, once you start, you feel so bad about yourself. Even if you're winning. You're like, what am I doing in my life? Like I won $40. I played for 8 hours. Like, what is this? I just wasted all this time. What am I doing here? So that's the big thing, and that's why I really stand up is great for me because it's an activity that I look forward. Looking forward is a tough way to put it, but it's something to do where I'm not constantly focusing on poker. Like even when I'm not doing it, I can work on it. It's an activity, and it's something that will keep me away from gambling, which is something I've said repeatedly.
Wait till you get booked at casinos, then what are you gonna?
That'll be tricky. Yeah, that'll be a mind fuck for me for sure. That'll be torture. Yeah.
How long you been doing comedy? Not really that long, right?
No, not long. And it's tough to measure because you have the pandemic in the middle there.
Yeah.
I would say in total it's been about a year. Yeah. That would be my best guess.
Yeah. You crack me up too.
Thanks, man.
Like you have this bit about baseball. I'm not gonna give your material out, but you had I think it was about teaching your son or something, or teaching a kid. I just loved it. I really enjoyed it. You're a very good writer.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I know what you're talking about, like the David Beckham's dog thing, and that. Yeah. You know what? It's mind-boggling because that joke never get. That's my biggest mystery. I never understand. I think that's a great line, and it really rarely ever works. But I appreciate it.
I enjoy it.
Thank you. Appreciate
that. Do you find that there is anything that you learned from poker that's helped you in comedy at all?
Like there's some material I can get from poker. I don't know. I for the most part, I keep them separate. Like I do try and take information from there and try and but that's also hard too, because once you start talking about like poker, it's very easy for people to tune out. Like even if it's something that they can identify with, like, I'm not interested in poker because it's such a small subset. You know?
Yeah. That's what there is this podcast. It's called Moth. They do a storytelling thing, and their gambling podcast, whatever, the guy who was talking about it, he's like, it's very unique because it was the least listened to of the year, but it was the only one that people, when they started listening to, most of the time they finished the entire
Oh yeah.
thing. Yeah, yeah. So I feel like,
Concentrated.
yeah, it's like Die Hard. Like also like I love hearing stories about gambling because they're stakes. Like it's like interesting. There's like automatically stakes involved,
Right.
and you just kind of want to see it to completion.
Hmm.
That's why like whenever I go to the casino, I either leave because it's time to leave, or I leave because I lost it, everything I brought.
That's pretty common. Like it'd be very rare that, like, if I'm sitting in a casino, even if I go to dinner, like my feet are tapping. Like when I finish that whatever I was eating, and I'm waiting for the check, or I'm with somebody and they're still eating, like I can't wait to get back. It's really tough. And I have definitely left casinos where I've had $0 in my nothing.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know how. It was before Easy Pass. Like, how do you even pay the tolls home? Like, I've had to figure that part out.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's like a unique adrenaline because it's almost like losing is its own reward in a way, because it's another chance to, it like makes you want to try harder.
So I have a lot on this. Like this is you've hit on something there. My basic theory is that winning is you're never satisfied with winning. Like if I go to, let's say I go to play poker, right? And I know I'm going to be there for a weekend, right?
Yeah.
And I'm playing and it's the first 2 hours and I'm up $200. I'm like, what, this is actually kind of boring. Like I'm up $200. Like, this is kind of boring. Like, what else am I going to do? And then fast forward like 24 hours later, when you realize you only have 4 hours left or something,
Yeah.
and you're down $600. The time flies by like crazy, because the losing is what satisfies you. The winning, you're never satisfied with the win, because there's always more room to win.
Yeah.
With losing, for the most part, you have a definitive amount you're willing to lose. You might stretch it, you might push it, but that loss, you feel that loss, and you're good with that loss. You're never good with the win, and that's why people keep coming back.
That's interesting. That's real interesting.
It's a loser's mentality, but that's the way it is. Also, one other thing is with poker, or I guess poker is really the way. It's the only activity that you can say to yourself, damn, I only have 9 hours left. There's nothing else. There's nothing else you could say in the world with that sentence. But poker, you're like, oh my god, I only have 9 hours left to go here. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique game, because like literally, I feel like it's love or hate. People either love and like it spans all nationality, gender. Like people either love or hate it, and I feel like it's usually because of either a connection to their past or just a general, I don't know what to call, atmosphere. I don't know what to call when you're in a group of people, even if you're not talking, there's like a shared energy in just being in an excited state.
The start of a poker tournament is it is, I mean, you feel great. Like, just the possibility is there of you winning, and everybody's in this room, and it's exciting, and they're going to say shuffle up and deal, and the cards go. That is a great feeling. It's a great feeling all around for everybody in the room to get that tournament started. And you're right, there's a big energy in the room, and everybody's in it together, and it's very exciting.
Yeah. What I'm trying to, because like I don't want to go into like dopamine and receptors. Like, do you feel better if you, like you're saying, like there's like a losing high?
Sure.
If you go from losing to breaking even, do you feel amazing, or is that like, now I'm winning, now it's back down to like...
so you hit on something there too. So I've often asked this, okay, what would you rather being up $2,000, but when you leave you're only up 100, okay, or would you rather be down $2,000 and leaving being down 100? Which is the better feeling?
I think being down 100.
Of course. Like, it's no question. It's no question. Right?
Yeah.
No question.
Do you ever just like lose hands right off the bat? Like, I got to get down quick.
No, I don't try and do that. But I've definitely, you know, gotten there, and like you drive and you're all excited to play, and then, you know, next thing you know, you're down $600 before you even take a breath. I mean, that has all happened. I've always treated gambling. I have an annual budget that I have.
Yeah.
Okay, and I set the amount and then I stretch the amount. I'm like like a defense that bends but doesn't break. You know, like, it pretty much bends. I'm giving up a lot of field goals, like losing 33-0 on field goals, but it's not 60. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But there's been times so that budget resets on January 1st. And January 1st is a big day for underground games. So I'm like, okay, January 1st, and I go to an underground game that I shouldn't go to, and it's way bigger than I should. And, I'm down like, $1,400 on January 1st. That's awful.
Yeah.
It's a horrible feeling.
That's a good way to like go about it, though, as far as like, this is my budget for the year. Because like, I mean, I've had friends who like go and they literally walk in with $4,000 and like, it's everything they have.
Right.
And then like rent the next month. They're like, hey.
Yeah. See, I've been fortunate enough. So I've been married for 20 years and I've been with my wife for 10 years before that. And I've always had a sense of obligation to her, to my family. And some people don't have that. Some people push that and they have disregard for that. I've always had that in the back of my head. So I've been fortunate enough that I've never let the gambling overcome, more than I can handle. And again, I've pushed it, but I've never let it break. But if they weren't in my life, 100%, it would be out of control.
Yeah.
Same way anybody's a drug addict or an alcoholic or whatever, I would 100% have that. I just know that about myself.
Yeah, it's such a unique thing too, because it's like eating addictions. Because I mean, actually no, that's different because you like have to eat.
That's a tough one. Eating is a tough one, right? Because you still have to do it. You can't quit a cold turkey.
Do you ever feel like you're flirting with the edge of like
Always.
gambling? Yeah. Is that part of the fun?
Yeah, I mean, I've justified everything in every sense of the way. Like you lose a certain amount of money and you compare it to what you could have had. I mean, I've thought of this and from every angle there is. But I'm fortunate enough where I make a nice living. I can afford these losses. But if anybody really heard the numbers, that's not a gambler. It's just an awful thing to hear. Like, what are you doing? It's just a waste of money.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty much the same as like people with like sport car addictions. Like who like, yeah, they have a sports car, but how often do they drive it? Like,
right. And I've made that comparison like many times. Like I have friends that are into like Fish, right? The band.
Yeah.
And they'll go to New Orleans to go to Jazz Fest, and and I'm not doing any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, look at my clothes. Like, I don't have any clothes. Like, I drive a car that I drive a car well beneath what kind of car like a lot of my friends or contemporaries have.
Yeah.
I just don't need a lot. But what I do need is I want to be able to spend a more on gambling than I should.
Yeah. And like everybody has their release. Like a lot of people won't see it as that, but like a lot of people, like we know it's comedy. They're out chasing this to ridiculous levels. There's people who like. So one of the things that's interesting to me is like I'm an addictive personality as far as substances. Gambling doesn't do it for me.
Sure, right.
It's such a weird thing because, like, literally, like, scratch offs. I'm like, if I get them for my birthday, I might not even scratch them.
Right, exactly. Oh, they'll sit on the counter for and I'll be like, I'll call my son, like, Casey, you wanna come do this scratch off here? I mean, it doesn't appeal to me. And like I never drink. Like I'm not a drinker. Like it's just everybody has their own thing that gets them. Some people it's sex, some people it's drugs or gambling or alcohol, whatever it is. Like everybody has their own little thing, and it's just a matter of can you control it? Do you want to control it?
Yeah.
That's a big one. And if it does get out of hand, can you get out of it? I mean, that's I've I've never had. I've never been in a spot where I couldn't recover. I've never been in a spot where I was out of control beyond, where I had to go to Gamblers Anonymous or anything like that. But I can 100% identify with anybody that has those issues because I feel like I know it's there.
Yeah.
I just have something that allows me to control it
Yeah.
to some extent that not everybody has.
Yeah, and a wife and kids, that's a
That's a big one.
great thing, like, yeah, I know people personally who the second they had a child or got married, like all of a sudden they were like, oh, I have like stood taller, like they for the first time I've known these people since I was like 10. For the first time in my life, I saw them then take responsibility.
Sure.
And it is beautiful to see.
Yeah, they have somebody to answer for besides themselves. Because again, you can make that the word is escaping me, but you can be like, all right, well, you know what? If I do this line of, and I don't know anything about drugs, but like, if I do another this, so I'm going to sleep tomorrow and I'm going to be out of pot, but what do I have to do tomorrow anyway? It's like you can justify all of those things. And the same thing with gambling. Like, all right, so I lose another $100, whatever. Like, what am I doing with that $100 anyway? It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But
so that's interesting then, because then it's like a like you're saying justification instead. If you can't justify it, like especially when you have other people to answer to,
right?
Yeah, that's a big.
But I've definitely been beyond the justification. Like, I mean, like even that one's tough for me. Like, I shouldn't. That's not a good justification.
Well, I'm sure there's a certain percentage of beyond the justification. There's a justification chart.
Here's the line. We're gonna go past it. We're gonna pass it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what would you recommend to people who want to play poker for the first time?
Probably don't. I mean, like have the understanding that ultimately it's a losing proposition. And actually, there's a comedian that I've been speaking with. I'm not going to bring up his name, but he's been very into poker recently. And he just went to Las Vegas. He won. Now he's playing online and he's having success. And maybe this is his thing. Like maybe he's really very good at it. The odds are against him that ultimately this will be a winning proposition. Yeah. So I was like, listen, you just have to understand that ultimately you're probably going to lose. Like I know you have this excitement. I know you have this. To answer your question, definitely play. Play within yourself. Have an understanding this is recreational. Start low, start with comfortable amounts, do it for fun. If you're really interested, it's available online. Yeah. You can go to a casino. It's very easy. Like it's very easy to learn. It's not hard to get into. But the big thing is just knowing what you're looking to get out of it and playing with an amount that you're very comfortable with. If you're concerned about the money, you're going to lose the money. That's 100%, 100% of the time. There's no question.
Yeah.
Because ultimately you're just, like somebody puts you all in, even if you have, let's say you have pocket aces on a hand and on the flop is, 3, 4, king. Right. And you have $1,000 in front of you and they say, I'm all in for $1,000. Like, yeah, you're probably winning, but do you really want to risk the $1,000 there?
Yeah,
like that's a hard decision.
Yeah.
If you care about the $1,000, you're going to probably fold. If you don't care, you're like, yeah, I call.
Yeah. And then when they flip over pocket kings, and
right, then you just go shoot yourself in the parking lot. Yeah, I've felt like that before too, for sure. Yeah, the sickest. There was a time I played in a tournament and I was doing really well, and it was a multiple day tournament, and I left day one and I felt great, right? And I was so excited for day two, and it was a big tournament. It was like, it was $500 tournament, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And, there was thousands of people in this thing, and I'm really excited. And I come back for day two, and within like 3 hands, I get dealt pocket kings, which is, second best hand there is. And I raise, and somebody re-raises me. Okay. And then I re-raise them all in. He calls. I have pocket kings. He has ace king. And the flop, he ended up with quad aces, I should win that hand 70% or 65, 70% of the time. He gets quad. I mean, I went into a corner And like, I ran off, and I mean, you should have seen my body, and I couldn't move for literally like 30, 40 minutes. Like I just couldn't move. Because what do you do with yourself? You had such an adrenaline high from it, and like that, it was over, and there was nothing else I could do that would match that high. Like, what am I going to go play 1-2 no limit? Like, it's not gonna match.
Yeah.
So that was the low. You asked me before, like about the biggest win. That's the loss, and there's been a lot. There's been a lot of losses. There's been a lot of times when I felt awful, but I think that was the worst that I ever felt.
Yeah, but in a weird way though, you're getting the full range of human emotion.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're feeling something. That's the whole thing. Are you feeling it? Like I'm sure. Like I hate sitting at home at night and having nothing to do. Yeah. Right. Like even if I'm staring down at night and I don't have anything that I know to watch. I'm not going out. I'm not playing poker. Like that is the worst night for me because you feel nothing. Yeah. You go out to an open mic. Yeah, you have the excitement of doing the comedy, then you do the comedy, then you have, either the pain of doing poorly or the bliss of doing well. Yeah. And it makes you feel something. Yeah. I hate not feeling something. It's just that's the one thing I just don't like having.
Yeah, recently I've been trying to look at like bad situations not as like I have to do this or that, but this is a unique experience that I'm getting to experience this, and kind of like changing my perspective on it. I'm trying with that, even though it's rough.
Yeah. Do you struggle to I know it's off topic, but do you struggle to get motivated to go out to do comedy some nights, or are you always like, okay, I'm in, I know I'm doing this?
To go out, I'm always motivated to go out, to sit down and write or to rehearse.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, that's where, not even that I'm not motivated to do that, it's difficult for me. Just because I get distracted easily.
Sure.
But I'm always motivated to go out at least 6 days a week. There is one, without fail, 1 day a week where I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah.
I still go out usually.
Right. Yeah, when you're home and you're like, okay, I have to rehearse. You're thinking of all the things like, oh, I got to turn on the microphone. Like even something like that seems so daunting. Like, oh, I got to turn on the mic, or I got to open my laptop.
Or you know what? I've been getting static shocks around here recently. Right. I'm not going to touch anything metal. I don't know about that.
Right. And you don't do Zoom mics at all, right?
I think I'm going to start. A good friend of mine, Joe Borgata, and Angelo Gingerelli, shout out Brighton Bar guys. They booked me on a show, and I'm like only doing 5 minutes, but I've never done Zoom. So I'm like, I got to at least practice.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty much the same thing. I mean, the nice thing about Zoom mics in general is that you're in front of a different group of people, and you could do material, like you could practice material that maybe you want to just kind of practice, or you could try something new. But yeah, I would recommend doing 1 or 2 before you do your show, just to kind of get the feel for it.
Also to test the Wi-Fi here. I'm not really sure.
That's a good thing too.
Yeah. Because like that's a thing. Like I've seen a couple clips, and like every time like the computer freezes, I'm just like, God damn it! This is why live is better. But yeah, no, I haven't done any of that. I'm excited to actually try that out. I think I'm doing one tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
And then, I'm hoping, knock on wood, knock on a robot, that things come back in the summer the way they were at least last summer.
Yep.
A lot of outside stuff. I'm hoping to try to figure out how to produce something with the bar across the street. They got that great parking lot. And, trying to figure out ways to do things now.
Yeah.
Even. It's rough.
You just got to take it one step at a time, and just remember that, we are still in a situation where most people aren't going to come out, and you have to remember that, because that's what messes you. You're like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, oh wait, I can't do any of this stuff. And that's the hard part. Tying back the gambling to Zoom, one of the things that I've mentioned before is like, I have simultaneously done a Zoom mic while playing online poker, and that is great. I mean, there
you're locked in.
Oh man. Yeah.
That's I can only imagine the adrenaline. Then it probably equals like live.
Yeah.
Because like Zoom, I feel like it would probably be low stakes, which is one of the reasons.
Sure.
Like I need that hit of that rush of somebody saying your name, and now be funny.
Right. Well, and the reason I brought that up initially is, I talked about being motivated to go out. Like for some reason, I have trouble getting motivated to do a Zoom mic. Like, I go out, I'm there. Zoom's always there. I mean, you can find 3 or 4 Zoom mics a night if you wanted, but you're like, okay, well, I mean, what am I going to do? You're still like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm going to sign up for this thing. I'm going to watch people while I'm in my living room. Like, so it's hard to get motivated to do it. It's easier to get out of the house.
Yeah. It's do you ever feel not motivated to play poker?
No.
It's always
I'll always answer the bell on that one.
Yeah.
Like if I have what I've been doing recently is Sundays have been my gambling day, like because I could do it early and go to my car at like 4 or 5 o'clock, something like that. And by 6 o'clock, I'm feeling miserable. I'm really like, what am I doing? Like I should have hung out with my son or something. It's really bad. But on the days that I'm going to play poker, that's when I'm that's just when I'm most excited, even more so than a show. Like, cause again, the thing is, if I'm doing comedy one night, like I'd feel better about myself losing $300 than I would bombing on stage. So like there's more to lose in doing comedy. Like there's just more to lose there. That you have to prepare, you have to get ready, you have to get in that mindset. With this, all right, I lost, it only hurt me. Like it's the only person it really hurt.
Yeah, it's like I wouldn't even it's like the substances versus gambling versus like doing a mic. Like it's such different highs and lows.
Mm-hmm.
Like
it's all the same. It's all the same stuff.
It is, but to me, every one of those feels different.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can see why people like myself, like if you put cocaine in my system, that's it. I'm off on the races.
Right.
But if you give me $100 and say you can either gamble or get cocaine, like no, that's not a good. I would definitely get cocaine. But if you say here's unlimited money to gamble with, I would reach a point where I'd be like, all right, I just want to go home.
Right. Yeah. See, I don't have that. I don't have that in me. Or if I did, I would be very much looking forward to the next time. Like, you have to go get some sleep. You have to go do this. Yeah. But if I come off a win, I can think about nothing else but playing again. And that's the big issue. If I come off a big loss, I'm like, okay, let me take 2 or 3 weeks off. I've had enough. Like, let me do. Yeah. But if somebody gave me like, all right, you know what? Here's $500. Go play. If you lose, don't worry about it. If you win, we'll split it. Like, all right, I'll go do that. I'll go do that all day. Yeah, I'll always answer the bell for that for sure.
Yeah. Do you have anything coming up comedy wise?
I'm just, I'm doing the mic circuit. Again, I'm still pretty new to this whole thing, and I'm really trying to learn the ropes in terms of how do you get involved with shows and who do you speak with and how do you do that part.
Yeah.
I have been doing flamingos every Saturday night, which is, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's, more of a mic. Yeah. But there's a nice environment there, and I always appreciate that opportunity, and going there tonight as well. But I'm definitely planning on producing shows when all of this comes out. We do have the King of the Mountain event on March 11th, which I've been working on and trying to make that more fun and more structured and pretty cool. And I'm hosting an open mic every other Monday at the Spot in Nanuet, which is a pool hall. It's pretty cool if anybody wants to come out there.
Yeah. I'm gonna put like links and tag you and everything.
Cool.
But like I want to say, like, I appreciate that you're not only hitting mics hard, but you're opening up chances for other comics.
Oh, thanks.
And that's really cool, because it's very easy to just be like, I'm just kind of going to hit the mics and focus on me.
Right.
It's nice to see people come in and be like, no, I have to do things for other people too.
Yeah, I definitely take pride in that too. Even though I've gotten criticized for charging $5 for the open mic, which I am just giving right over to the place. Yeah. I'm not keeping a penny. I'm giving it right to them.
I don't know if I commented on it or not, but I saw how you handled that guy too. You handled that so well. It's just
Thanks,
like,
man.
yeah, because it was like he was trying to get a reaction out of you. And I was like, oh, this guy. But you were very much like, hey, listen, if you can't have, if you don't have it, $5, I'll pay for it. I've done it before. Or, you know, you want to spend $7 on mozzarella sticks, which you don't probably even want, or $5 and it'll support a venue during a pandemic.
Exactly.
That is supporting comedians. I was like,
I killed the guy with kindness was my approach there. And honestly, I meant it. If he reached out to me and said, "Listen, I want to come, but I don't have $5," fine, I'll go on. I've definitely done that. And really my mindset with this thing was giving the comedians a place to have a mic, trying to support a place that, you know, has been shut down for 2 months or whatever it was prior to all this, and just trying to be win-win for everybody but me. You know, I'm not gaining anything from it other than honing hosting skills, which, you know, is definitely something to work on too.
Yeah, it's always good. Like, that's why whenever I get a chance at Wawa, I'll try it out. But hosting is so hard.
It is. Well, you can't, I mean, to do a set off the top, like, that's really hard. It's hard to kill in that spot. That's a tough thing to do, because most people are just like, let's get the mic started, let's go. What is this guy doing? You know, he's not even first.
Sometimes, do you know Tips at all?
I've been there once. I bombed horrendously there. It was bad.
It's a unique room, especially depending on if it's inside and upstairs. But Bob Gonzo used to run a mic there, and I would go there because I just really liked the energy of it. I know Bob Gonzo from things that my brother used to do forever ago. He was involved with music, so I was like, I know this guy. Let me just go here, support this place that's also a venue. He asked me to host once, and Sick Vic was there. And I was very nervous to do it. I'm trying to work material in, and I'm not doing well. And then Sick Vic gets up, and I light him at 5 minutes. I light him at 6 minutes. And now I'm holding the light up, and it's 7 minutes, and he's just going. And I stand up eventually. I was like, listen, I've never hosted. What do I do?
What's the protocol here?
Bob is not giving me any direction. Eventually, I was just like, all right, Sick Vic, let's give it up for him. And, like, everyone caught on that I was, like, trying to get him off. I think he ended up doing, like, 8.5 minutes. But...
I've seen people take advantage of that, but then they pretend they didn't see the light or something. That's a tough spot. Like, what are you supposed to, how do you kick them off? You, like, tackle them? Like, what do you do?
Especially Sick Vic. I'm not getting on that guy's bad side.
he was at the mic the other night. He let out like 2 big sneezes without any we're not in a pandemic. I'm just gonna sneeze. I'm gonna sneeze everywhere. Like, nobody just like, what are you gonna say to him?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, as much as like that guy is an enigma, I have seen him kill in front of any actual crowd he's been in front of.
Yeah.
So I just kind of all right. But thank you so much for coming out and
I
doing
appreciate
this.
you having me.
Again, I'm going to tag everything. I think this might be out before the King of the Hill.
King of the Mountain.
King of the Mountain, yes. I'm not positive on that. I don't even know what date.
All right. Well, we're planning. The goal with the King of the Mountain is to do those somewhat regularly. We're trying to build it. So if it's not out by March 11th, we will have one coming soon, and hopefully people will come out.
Yeah. It's a ton of fun. I really love the idea because, again, it's helping comedians, you know, to get their name out there with a possible spot. And I am eternally grateful for anyone who wants to help me do this.
Cool. And let me just say this about you. I know you've been doing this about a year as well. I've only known you a few months, but I'm really impressed with both your comedy, your initiative on the podcast. I mean, you're really taking it very seriously, and you're very successful with it. So congratulations to you, and keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you
Absolutely.
very much.
Yeah.
All right, Tim, play us out. Tim's kinda dumb, let's help him get smart. It's time to teach Tim stuff. Thank you so much for coming out.
Yeah, man, that was fun.